Dennis Miracles Abuaje is in big trouble because the America's High Court are granting freeze order. Say 5 bank accounts are Dennis Miracles, they are freezy, and 4 landed properties. Abusia 4 Madomu Asuko properties be asem ne kai. Abusia Dennis Miracle was 7-bedroom B ewo latte. Na Spintex any Ajengalo the properties no acres of land ya Domo Asuko ebe exposing nyina amonya honti ase. Na the only say Dennis Miracles also ni Yokofo eguso abuso omotwe da ware Yokofo investigation into 55 million Ghana cedis. Abra now was serving on the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization. No executive secretary abusafo omusisi ka hu sensem bi by Emma Dennis Miracles kwa Yokofo ebeche later ofra bonte ba be interviews anya no kre no mo che no man busa 55 million cedis bia. Deputy Attorney General Sram say because hey Dennis ukasa na we trofo Emma Akotia member of parliament beturo for say kasa na wakasa wonya careful na ebetimi landed into trouble abusia. It looks like Dennis is in trouble because of that interview. Akotia member of parliament, the best atenenka, the content in album, I'll be breaking and I want to say right on Sokato show. Mesro, over subscribe, we are bell notification icon button and on video drop your one sabeka. Feel free to leave your comment in the comment section. Share link, now for fro and you be a share. Little Flower Green Clay Solutions and the same. For numbers no good schools, name is CSM Prepper of Fear Honum Hospital, Church Bank Institution. I'm not pouring you mre, but come a bruta, Obia Babos, and matter say why. Sa Esuna back home assist Abama Moa Bruchino. Yamo properties will guarantee brand OPOB professional group. I'm a community or properties no abusia form. I'm a situational report, real-time report. I'm a straw. For numbers ne gushkins and I say obako backhomeaccess.com. Obana organize and I'll put Yamana Kwakostra and Abusia. You be training in your pool at the amount. Do the onim fire errand boy. The organ hank abaya unihano. Fashienza, you be trade money in your pool at the amount. Oko website to abet me log on to a website. House numbers ne gushkins no obet me affair. No more details. Back home assist. Abusia for. And none of Pavia and anybody said Dennis Miracles Abuaje 5 bank account. Won't ye ne account Makumako 5 High Court ama order see bit me freezy. So landed properties Makumako 4. The properties in the first one any 7-bedroom. Muntin ye 7-bedroom ewo latte. Ana 2-bedroom ewo Spintex Road. Ana Spintex. Ana yesi or residential apartment bi enso Ajengano and sana 15 acre of land na unim oko joining so omo legal affairs correspondent Kwekwa Sante abrante wa bi brutal ono na domo suko no the details na about 5 minutes kotie.
Well, let's bring in our legal affairs correspondent Kwekwa Sante for more on this development. Kweku, welcome to the program. What more do we know about this?
Well, yes, Ken, as you say, this is in relation to an allegation that Mr. Miracles Abuaje, while he served at the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, may have misappropriated or stolen some funds. Because this matter has not been charged in court yet, we do not have an idea of the specific charges or the specific case that Yoko is building against Mr. Dennis Miracles Abuaje. But on the basis of the ongoing investigation, Yoko has made an application to the Accra High Court seeking the freezing order of certain properties belonging to Mr. Dennis Miracles Abuaje. Under the law, under the Yoko Act, Yoko is able to undertake some initial freezing, and then as time goes on, they have to apply to a High Court to get that confirmation of the freezing order, and that is what has happened. And so we are getting some more information as to what exactly the properties in questions are here. 5 bank accounts that are related to this, and all transactions on those bank accounts are now blocked. There is a 7-bedroom residential property in Latte. As we speak, it has also been frozen. What this means is that Miracles Abuaje cannot enter the premises of this property. There's another 2-bedroom residential property at Spintex that has also been frozen, a residential apartment complex at Ajengano here in Accra, and then approximately 15 acres of land situated in Latte. So these are the 4 landed properties in relation to this, and the 5 bank accounts in question: a 7-bedroom apartment in Latte, 2-bedroom in Spintex, a residential apartment complex in Ajengano, and 15 acres of land. And so this is the orders of the court granting the freezing order, and so these properties said to be belonging to Dennis Miracles Abuaje of the New Patriotic Party have now been frozen by the High Court, particularly the say-so of Yoko, and they had that order, and they went to the court for a confirmation order.
It's quite interesting because we know that the court went on recess last week. So many are wondering, how is this possible, this order?
Well, yes, it's true. The superior courts of judicature are on legal vacation, but it does not mean that every single court is shut down. There are what is called vacation courts that continue to sit even when the courts are on vacation. And so the Chief Justice has designated some courts, and this happens every year because the courts cannot be completely shut for 2 months because of the consistency in the need for people to go there for bail and other issues. So while generally superior court, that is the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court are on bail, some of the high courts are designated as vacation courts. They continue to sit, and matters continue to be debated and discussed in those particular courts. And in particular, we know that certain oral courts, the special division of the court, as well as the criminal division, Justice Audrey Kokuvite, Justice Achibonga, are all sitting on oral cases. This case did not particularly go to them. But yes, like you said, even though the courts are on break, there are some courts that are designated as vacation courts that continue to sit within this period, Ken.
And then also you mentioned that some of the properties are residential apartments. Does it mean that the people, if there are any, renting the apartments and properties at the moment will have to vacate? What happens to them?
Well, yes, once this freezing order has been confirmed, usually that is what is going to happen. What the freezing order does is to preserve the status quo ante, because the investigative body continues to claim that they are still investigating the matter. And so they do not want this person who is subject to the investigation to dissipate those properties. And that is why they usually will freeze it. So if it's a bank account, it is frozen. You cannot withdraw money into it. You cannot put money into it until the investigation are completed or the freezing order lapses. When it comes to a residential property, even when people are living in, usually those people would have to vacate because of the pendency of the investigation that is going on. But those mechanics can always be worked on. There can be some sort of arrangement. If it's a residential complex that is for rent, all those issues may be dealt with. But generally, if a residential property is frozen, residents may be ejected for the purpose until those freezing orders lapses, Ken.
And have we heard anything from the camp of Miracles Aboagye concerning this?
Well, not as we speak. Dennis Miracles Aboagye, we should put on record, continues to maintain his innocence. We know that a couple of weeks back, Yoko did arrest him when he did arrive from a trip abroad, and he was detained for a couple of days. He was granted bail. That bail is still in force. Miracles is out as we speak. But as of the specifics of these freezing order, we are yet to hear from him. But we should say that he maintains that he's completely innocent of the charges or the allegations that are being made against him by Yoko and the state writ large.
Kwaku Asante is all.
The Joy News is Kwaku Asante, and I'm not telling Kase, there is Miracles properties near. I was afraid say you're freezing. You're freezing just say the answer to so. And now Kwaku Asante children. Now there is Miracles about Bravo. At his age, young guy. I don't think Dennis will be here 50 years. Now Otimi was 7-bedroom. Latte, 2-bedroom, Sprintex, and a Jengano or residential apartment. And of course, 15 acres of land. I think that Brant and Abobra. Investigation in Gusua Ekoso. Now, him. Yoko Forche, there is Miracles, Abrofia Buchireba. No more chain, no. And maybe before Campo Coco demonstration, say free, there is Miracles, Aboagye. And T. Abusia Yamani Bill. Madikabo Munchi, my update in the Abassa, there is Miracles, Chene, 55 million Ghana cedis, only one Gerard Piano account as Atam, no Mummy survey on the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization. There is Miracles was the executive secretary, and of course, Gerard Apia, or no, accountant. Now, when him say, Dr. Gamali, the current executive secretary of the Interministerial Coordination Committee in the Bayano, and more forensic audit. Forensic audit, you know, they got to Yoko for him, say, Charlie, issues will hold him to a mere investigation. To my investigation, you know, who say a brand in a fellow Gerard Apia no company was started as a kind of OT and do Yoko for state. Say the guy started paying the money from the loot. Sikana said be unified and Sasson was started OT. There is Miracles there. Omama 50 million Ghana cedi deal with 3 shorts of 2 of whom must be justified. Nabusia or Pierre Bayano call as 94.7 FM ecosystem program. So no say share. So I let Yoko for Betron. I would rather send because Omo interrogating no man ka 55 million Ghana cedis bi asemo. And my deputy attorney general Srem Sai Babonte be kasa say careful. Asem na ka no boa. Na wontia said Ghana for ye the miracles asem the GD ye. Then you know ana kotia member of parliament ekopie mu asem perfect no sihwe o futu bi the miracles. What free yoko for hukum opia Babonte investigation because of court asem na de ade. Opia ba ya interview. In fact, akotia member of parliament lawyer Benedict Bidi akoka che the miracles say onya careful. Yes I want here. Obinya asem. It looks like onya asem ba.
You see, minim say we interview, minim say enema bi ba wa dwen mu sense say chire na obehwa. Ade a miracles abe ne no. Me wa futu de ma no. Oma we nye ne twato obekasa.
Okay.
Ehun hia. Oh, you see. Ase we ba ye ni ma yo konhwehwemu a omo ye. Any idea in terms of details, no pressure in your apart from statement to release your munkasebio.
Yes,
and you don't underestimate an agency like that. You don't know what they have. You don't know nipa bimpa yeah politicians. Wako ke bibia fa. E tell be nipa cry be na obetra na accountant na who investigating a day. What kind of question statement? What do you mean waka je yoko? Men can you.
yes.
So, oh yeah, they are no ahwini. MD ayinachi because aba ye and ya betra ka won to be asemi. Wa show shirt kama abetra. So obo man so obo tiare na ote am from a papa for am wo he. Obi abeka omo eye press conferences omo ebo choboye obi awi okonifie.
Obi ani nsawe mo
obi ani nsawe mo obi. Eba ye omo fa nkrofo kotena obi kura se remon acha ne achi na tum na. You release no so a video siribi yeah high for politicians near me TV video obisa say hwan kasa no dem ntia baba so crazy so why eti you release no 10 so eti omo owie okonifie enti me dem mesre he's a young man obi anu o wish bibi boni bi man no he's doing well for his party. But no one so G2 muno say accountability so there as a so bu oje public office yeah now one significantly and some more kind narrative or my enia no one was we go MPP mpanyfo in masepa
aden
obi say na ma akuri mu kra me gidi say na u follow
yes
and some way di kind tea and say ya chi no kwan bi so ense se ya chi no na ne lawyers kra nya kwan access to him obetra ha kan asem
o say first 2 days in the lawyers nya access
no or say or no narrative bi e bro baaye or say immigration force say stop order and then or say or no ne lawyers kasai so obeka ya or say or ne lawyers kasai say aden on no kan na o mo hwehwe be na om de farm so na mantia na ne lawyers so mni mo at no point na mte so ka say because na wo betre lawyers o fo say or is so moba say yes most matching but me person be lawyer e bansa na ibiase and deny no na that me even be chair no me can say me person be tie no power side because that would be a breach of the constitutional right article 14 no but in the absence of that there sabe it doesn't lie with MPP ni biase or no beka because the constitution yanchi obi ene sa na no. And the constitution no imperative no and any obligation say you can inform me MPP for nienti or match miracles. Until they don't owe any obligation to MPP as a party. A miracles and never say me am a lawyer. It even if we a lawyer said Justin Kodua now kasa at that point ye ni mo say na a lawyer for miracles. So and so that is again why are they be miracles in come what can in ya ma follow no pa. What can say you kwadwuma mo ye on 40?
Yes.
O can consistently.
Yes.
Say eyo masede eyo madwuma nti e wo so mo ye o madwuma. Wotie nkomo ni bi. Wotie social media post and someone crofo kan okrom ha. Say the nti ni ache miracle. Me can be say and I've said it so be a wetin baby bi and na miracles aye ma habemu. Unso say the problem pa your statement na you ko release ye no. AMPP amanyoko ni mpelifo na mass pressure do say e dey tin match no me can baby said there is no legal obligation on Yoko So beba out abeka ne enti a wache. Your friend is saying. Because any right. Because and somebody be a full sense say Pia Bonting. Whether true or false, he will have his day in court. It means I would rather prefer say Kipi. Me and this and teneno. Because ebia o teneno no na enipa bi e hwe asem na etie no no so hu me in a certain light. Even before I have my day in court, which is also not the best. And then a miracle say king. Pressure na de ma Yoko omunchirem yenti o mache no obechire mu ne onu su nim because at this point it doesn't lie with miracle to say because then now catch and the fact that oman who audit reporter do 50 million no does not preclude them say omo will be fufuro bi so anti yenim ne omo wo nti ya no de enja answer but so omo de abeto abonten no you feel bad at it because oni mo hu say e bia ye innocent but here we are. Young children, yenti ayache no. And now draw the beto abontia. Miracles feels said no and send commodity statement, but it is
also they could have stated why they picked him without misleading the public.
Well, how is it misleading?
Well, no free said the 55 million they put out.
And on the matrimony, it doesn't lie with him. Beyond even the audit report, but you see.
Yeah, but they sent him a letter. Say Omra, they were investigating him on these 3 issues.
But the 3
Which
issues.
Which 3 issues in that letter? The state say 20 million, about 20 million. In his pain, and they said, why then do you put out a letter say we investigated for 55
he may say these things, but also are raising with them.
Of course.
So at that level, they may. But you see, the point here is that it's your purchase and you are a lawyer. Or purchase say 9 million is a 10 million young man. No, maybe. Yeah. Because you see, we are dealing with a crime. Maybe the NSA. Say maybe no. Me concentration, but how I met me even a dime. But you see, me no now from where I sit, my son will be being so a brinty. He should be very careful. He seems to, in a subtle way, defend the accountant. And he should be careful. Did I say, caution statement, our trauma Yoko. Yoko say, omu discover a new information that led to the information. Etina, so you're very careful because the truth saying na nipa or no that sorry crown to be engineering. Inti and that's all be jinana sa ado nipa no tueska no na ade ntina ya kana saying wama o say
what did they from
but I don't say Yoko can be or say even the fact is that we tueska does not absolve him from any further criminal, and it's true, you're a lawyer. So, and no nkyerese o tuenti anebia. That's why I think my brother should be quiet. You see, deal with Yoko. Me my dream, you may take it or leave it.
But if he is quiet, the 55 million which he thinks say enya no kre no would
even also 1 CD cry enya no kre. Is that not it? 1 CD cry also on fast kebia. What say ninch some wa chichi no say and some no nyen some wa e chese wa fa bibi. What you say? So eh omo de omo fa $1 billion sent also. What must say? But na ko you one ho. So that this thing because you see okay na side fufuro bi nso aba. No so have a case nya sa na te say ni e try asem no in the public space. You know, to me it started this way. Onye boni bia onye say we will come to it. And aba bi do say but you see nyama nkitingiti bia o kan misappropriation. It doesn't matter whether he gave it to a public company or not. I mean, you should get it. Ubi. It doesn't matter. Say a public company, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't come in. Say Sikan was meant for this. That's all the koya the fufra. That is where the misappropriation comes in. In Chiremu say it was actually meant for what you did. But if you misapply the money, it doesn't matter whether he gave it to Jubilee House or Parliament. Catch up, it doesn't matter. So Becca says because it's a public company. It doesn't matter. So you see, I'm seriously, me and me uncomfortable. Me uncomfortable. Now me dream say, my own chasso, not dealing with them. I mean, I have spoken to him out there. It's not something I'm very comfortable with.
Lawyer Bernard Bediako Bedu.
A member of Parliament, Lawyer Bernard Bediako Bedu, a foot of the man is miracles, no. Anyway, a developing story. Yente Dennis Miracles and Kamiji say by what channel obe breaking the silence yanya na no nsem anase atenenka said ebe who said ebe a capture story in Alpha, but it doesn't really look good. And Dennis probably is in trouble because Charlie, you freeze 5 bank accounts. Now properties, 4 landed properties, you freeze there. I know shit. The program this year, and the big man himself, Nana Kojo Janto, Mobile 10 and Cameron Sukato show. Most of for Steve Zandoni. Bye bye.